Hey Theo, you've been such a good friend to the Wellness Enterprise. Thank you so much, brother. I really appreciate you. And there's something that unites us, right? Which is just this pursuit of living a good life and understanding how it works and being willing to realign ourselves to come into alignment with truth. It's extraordinary. So you added a Cosmic Tower 75, so you've got a 35 and a 75. Do you have a mini? You have a mini too.
Yep.
And not everybody has that experience. So, and you also have the sensitivity, like you've just gone so deep for years. Excuse me, I'm gonna cough. Haven't drank enough water yet this morning. Um, you've gone so deep for years in deepening your ability to measure and discern. So your observations are really helpful for people. So tell us, what's it like adding a 75 when you have a 35 and a mini beforehand?
It's a broadening and deepening of the experience to 35 brought in. So I have in that particular city, because I kind of live multi-state now, um, there's 4 million people and there is an astounding amount of EMF everywhere through the various airports and military aircraft and all that. It's a very buzzy place. And when we put the 35 in, you could feel it, take about 3 days to kind of push out. It was working to get the torus established and kind of clean the energetics of the area. And then when we added the 75, it was interesting because it wasn't as dramatic as when I set up the 35 and the 35 was doing that initial work. But what it did do is it was like it pushed the field out even further and it made the effects of the 35 even deeper. And here's what I think you will find super interesting. So, I share a space with my brother in San Diego, and he is very left brain. He's a computer programmer, and that's the only way he thinks. There's no subtle energy. There's no mystery to life. We're just a pile of chemicals. um, EMF is not a problem because you can't see it. It doesn't affect your health at all. And what's interesting is the 35, I could tell had an effect on him, like a calming effect, because computer programmers, they're very heady. They're not in their body. They're just, heady concepts all the time. And with the 75, what was super interesting is that he started cleaning the house. And this is just not, I mean, I've never seen this guy clean once in my entire life. Not one, not one time. And not only did he start cleaning the house, he hired a cleaning service, which was shocking. This has never happened before in my lifetime with this guy. And it was days of cleaning. And so I remember Holland Franklin saying one time that often when these technologies start to work, they bring coherence. That's what they do at a fundamental level. And when coherence is brought to a person in their space, if they start organizing and cleaning, that means it's working. And so for the 75 to have that effect on my brother is a very tough nut to crack because his belief systems are that all of this stuff is fake. Is That's actually remarkable because I couldn't figure out what in the heck was going on. I was like, this is crazy. This dude has never cleaned a day in his life, and here we are. And not only that, he has not. I mean, I don't think he's had a girlfriend probably in 25 years. He's just happy on his own and consuming internet content when he's not working, and that's it. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, guy's got a girlfriend. Just, I mean, just like that. And I suspect, I mean, obviously there's other factors, right? It's not like a magic thing, but I suspect that the tower had something to do with that. And they say children and animals, and in this case, my brother, I think they're good test subjects for these subtle energy technologies because they don't believe in them and they don't even know. I mean, my brother, I don't even think was aware those were in the house. Like he never asked me about him once, never mentioned anything. He just started acting different. The other thing I will say with the difference between the 35 and the 75 is that the 35 was working pretty hard, so it pretty much just did the house, and the torus was right there. The 75 pushed out more, and the plants responded very quickly. So within a few days, you could see that this yard it's extensively landscaped. There's a ton of different native plants. You could see them perk up and become more vital, and it wasn't like it was hard to notice. You didn't have to sit there and stare. I mean, it was like a parent. You come home from work or whatever, and you look at the yard, and you're like, oh, that looks different. That looks more green. This white sage is bigger. What's going on here? So those are my initial observations.
That's great. And you have a strong scientific background, and you described the 75 as like, with your hands and this
Mhm.
sound. Can you talk a little bit from that other part of your understanding of things? Like, what do you think's happening in the field when you add a 75?
That's a great question. So for a lot of people, a torus is hard to visualize. So like the classic example is the donut shape, but I think a better example is if you take an apple and you slice it in half from top to bottom, and then you open up those halves and you look at the half of an apple. You know how the top kind of has this look to it? It's because the energy of the apple seed, the morphogenetic blueprint that it puts out, the energy body that the physical body the apple is created from, it has that pattern of the torus, and so the energy is moving like this. And so if you zoom out, it kind of looks like a ball, but if you look at part of an apple, the energy moves like this and it creates the physical form of the apple, which is really easy to see when you cut it in half, from top to bottom. And so what was happening in this case is that, that's a continuous cleaning action, right? And so the 35 in this particular neighborhood is ultra dense. I mean, there's thousands of people everywhere all the time, constantly. There's air traffic overhead every few minutes, low flying aircraft, jets, military. There's radar constant. I mean, it's ridiculous. So like the 35 was doing great in maintaining, but that torus, that cleaning action, it was boosted by the 75 and it pushed out. And so now it's doing that, and it's cleaning things out even further, and it's also, I would say, intensifying the existing experience that was already there with like clean, harmonious energy. I mean, I'd already had an energetic clean out with the 35, but when the 75 was put up again, the dreams came back, and some of the energetic discharge started occurring again for the first 3 days.
Well, that's fantastic. I appreciate you delving into it from a different lens. And one of these days we got to get you 220, and then we'll
Yeah.
really see what's possible. But
That's it. And I want to say one other thing to people listening to this, because I get asked this a lot. Like, people email me a lot. I had a good conversation with Sean from the Optimal Performance podcast about this when we were chatting about it. Um, what the towers really, what they do is they pass the mom test. So the mom test is can you hand this piece of technology and to your mom, and can she just take it and use it right away? No problem. And the Cosmic Tower does that. I think of my 79-year-old mom, and I've been helping her with the harmonics and energetics of her house. And even with some of the other stuff like biogeometry, even the cube, she forgets to clean it every day, and it has to be on a white sheet of paper, and you got to put it on the clearing plate and do this and do that. And even for her, that's sometimes hard. She just forgets. And the tower, you just set it up and it just goes. It's a natural earth energy power spot in your house, and that's all there is to it. So it passes the mom test with flying colors.
I love it. Thanks for adding that. I appreciate you taking a minute to share your observations. Thanks, Theo.
You bet.